Hello everybody, welcome to a new tutorial on BeakMaker 3. In this video I'd like to go through the performance view. So let's start creating a new session. Let's click on here. We enter the view where we can select the bank. So let's select an interesting one, so for example deep bass, and let's click on load bank. Let's close the window where we can browse the banks. Okay, so we have one track, A1, we have loaded a particular bank, so let's try it. Okay, let's also ensure that to adjust the output. Okay, let's decrease it a little bit more. Let's go back to the performance view. Okay, perfect. So we have one track called A1. We can add new ones clicking on the plus sign, and we can continue like so until we get to H. After H1 we click again and we start to create A2, and then we can add B2, etc. As you can see, after H1 it moved to a second page. Here it says 2, and you can go back to the first page, click on the left arrow, go to the next one, clicking on the right arrow. Okay, so let's go back to the first one and let's click A1. So now we are in A1, and in here let's disable again the browser view. We are in keys mode. That means that for each of the pad you have a different pitch for the bank that is loaded, or it could be also a plugin that is loaded or a sample. Okay, perfect. If the keys are deselected, it will show you, it will use the pad to show you which of the track have banks associated with it. Okay, let's go back to keys. Let's see other things which are within the keys view. So you can change the bass note. It started from C2 at the moment here on the bottom left of the pad. You can change the bass note. You can go up by octave, for example C3. Okay, down to the previous octave. You can also decide to go up by semitone, clicking on here. So you click on the up arrow, up a semitone. So starting from C#2, or down a semitone starting from C2. Okay, the additional thing you can see here is a selection of 16 pads on the screen, but also 64 pads. And you can see here that above B5 we don't have samples loaded for the particular bank. Okay, let's go back to 16 pads. Okay, so next what I want to show you is the select option. In here you can do pad management, so you can copy pad, paste pad, cut pad, and also clear pad. Very handy for managing your pads. Next, we have scene. In this view you can actually decide which scene is playing. So if you have a multiple scene, which I will show you in different in a future video, you can decide to go to the next scene. So when the first scene in this case is finished playing, then the next one will start playing. So this is very useful. And you can see here, as in other views, there is a selection of pages, in this case scene pages, and you can go up to 128. And the same was if you were in let's disable scene mode. In keys mode you'll have the same here. Sorry, not in keys mode. When you have deselected, you're seeing the tracks per pads. You can also browse through pad pages up to page 8, which will give you 128 pads. Okay. Other option below scene, you can mute a pad, or you can solo one, and these two are useful to change live performances. Okay, you can have 16 pads on the screen as it is selected here, or you can have 64 pads. Okay, let's go back to 16. Next, let's focus on the left side of the screen. So in here we have the name of the track, track A1. We have the associated bank, the bass. If you click on A1, you can choose a different track. If you click here on the three dots, you have option to load a bank, save a bank, rename it, set to 64 pads mode, clear the bank, do some MIDI export, delete it, change MIDI in setup, where you can change the MIDI input, the port, the channel, if you want a MIDI channel enable, and what you want to do as a MIDI output, which port and channel you're going to use. You can also set up the color if you want to, okay, which is very useful for immediate recognition. Okay, Next we have a number of tabs. Let's start with the first one, velocity, and let's enable keys. So on the left here we have a fixed velocity. At the moment it is fixed to 127, so when I click on the pad it will play a 127 velocity. I can use this trigger section here to play the same selected pad at different velocity. As you can see, as I'm playing low in the lower part of the trigger section, the velocity decreases. Something else I can do as well, if I click on the cog here, I can set the fixed for MIDI velocity as well, clicking on here, and therefore this will be applied for MIDI messages. And you can also select the pad's Y velocity to on, and if that is on, look what happens if I click at the bottom of the pad. Oops. So you need to have the fixed MIDI velocity to off, okay, and if you leave pad's Y velocity on, if you click at the lower part of the pad, the velocity is very low. As you move up, the velocity will increase, and you can see reflected also in the trigger here. Underneath here you have some imported division. So let's click first on 1/4. If you can enable that and you hold on a pad, it will repeat that note at 1/4 of the sync, which is aligned to the bits per minute set to that. You can do the same, for example, 1/8, and so forth. The way you can set these different setting for repetition is you click on the arrows, so you click on that, and here's where you set the repeat. So you can set by 1/4, 1/8, etc. You can say normal, triplet, it will show a T, or dotted there, and you can add a swing as well. Okay, perfect. So next we have a roll, which has the effect of a drum roll. So for the pad which is selected, you can use it on the x-axis to change it from a different interval of repetition. As you move up, you change the velocity. Okay, very cool. Next we have wheels. So here's where you can apply the modulation. You can affect the pitch. You can also have your sustain pedal on, and you can still use repetition underneath here. Next you have scales. So for example, you can say I want a minor blues, and the pitches will change for the corresponding pads. So typical or standard minor blues as it is selected here. Let's go back to no scale, and you can also set chords. So for example, just take a small example, we can say interval major second, so it will say, if I click on C2, it will play also D2. On C sharp 2, it will play also D sharp 2. Okay, this is useful if you want to play chord and record chords as they are played. And remember, chords will not send messages, MIDI messages out. So that is important to remember. Okay, I hope you found this useful. Now you know how to use the performance view. See you next time. Bye.